Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about touch-ups. I had a couple of requests for this, actually quite a bit, so we figured we'd shoot a quick little video. So today we're going to go over touching up carbon fiber. I know I've been asked that a lot in emails and of course some of the comments, and so we figured we'd go ahead and shoot a quick video on it. So we've got one of our speed shapes here that we've already base coated. Of course, this is in our dark charcoal metallic gray, and so it's already base coated, ready to go. We've got our film ready to go, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually purposely a little bit under activate it. And so what that's going to do is that's going to give me a lot of dots and things like that to touch up. And so we're going to go ahead, we'll dip it, and then of course we'll go through some of the touch-up techniques that we use that will help you guys out in being able to touch up carbon fiber. Carbon is probably one of the hardest ones to touch up because it is very directional, and also you have to have the right color for everything to match up correctly. And so that's where carbon is definitely really hard, because you can't just do a lot of shading or blending or fading or anything like that, because it is such a directional pattern, as well as it's always the same thickness all the way through if it's dipped correctly. And so definitely makes it a lot harder, but let's go ahead, let's get this thing dipped, and then of course we'll show you guys the touch up and what you need to do on and how you can do that on carbon fiber. So here we go. So we're a little bit lighter, not a lot, but just a little bit lighter, so that way we can go ahead, get a couple of touch-ups on these. But again, for training purposes, we would have probably let this go or reactivated it again, because we can definitely see that. But again, let's go ahead and dip this and see what we get. Okay, so we've got most of this all dried off. So again, it's very hard to see right in here, but whenever you get water on this and you start to get it wet, you can clearly see we've got, of course, dots right in through there. We've got a couple of them right in through here, all the way around into there. So these are the ones that we're mainly going to focus on. There may be some others back in here, which we're not really going to care too much about for the video, but we're going to mainly focus on these dots that are all right in here to where we can see them pretty clearly. And then that way I'll kind of go over what we need to do to get those touched up and to get those completely gone or as disappeared as possible, so that way it comes out looking a lot better. So let's get started. All right, so we've got a paintbrush, and you can see this paintbrush is very, very small. The tip on it is super small, which is exactly what we want. And so what we're going to do is we've got activator in a very small cup right here. This is just our standard Liquid Concepts activator. So we're going to get a little bit of that on the paintbrush, and then we're going to lay the film down on the table just like it would lay down on top of the water. And then so once we get that activator in there, then we're just going to rub that on the actual film itself. And then sometimes it may come off very quickly, other times it may take just a few seconds, but you can see here that the activator is activating the film, and of course the inks are coming off. And so now that they've came off onto the paintbrush, now we can pretty much get those all in the paintbrush. And then now we can take this paintbrush and move it over here and touch up a spot like that right there. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to just dab that in very carefully right in just the area that we need. So same thing like right there, we've got that touch up right there. We're just going to dab that in there. Same thing with that. Now again, you'll notice that I'm not brushing like this right here. I'm just mainly just dabbing it in exactly where we need it. And that's exactly what we're going to do, is we're just going to keep doing that all the way throughout the entire process. So this is really good because the paintbrush can give you that more defined line. Like there's no, if you'll notice right in here, we've got a very big open area that is not defined. And so one thing that we can do is we can kind of push that down like that right there, and then we can also move that over to that. Now again, this is showing up more on this right now, but once we go to clear coat it, all of it will all blend out really nicely and everything will look really good. And so all we're going to do here is we're mainly just going to take this and then touch up, do any small touch-ups, and of course try to stay in those lines as much as possible. It's definitely not something that is super hard, but you definitely have to have a little bit of patience in making sure that you get the exact dot right where it needs to be and not in the lighter area in here. You want it to only be just in this black area. And so we can take this and turn it, and you can see we've got some dots in some of these strings right through here. So we'll come back in again and we'll dot that. We'll dot that in there, dot that in there. And again, we're just being very careful and cautious just to make sure that we keep the black ink in the carbon lines and not in anywhere else. And so same thing right there, we've got a spot right there very close to the edge, right through there, right in there. And again, we can take as much time as we need to try to get that exactly where we need it to be. And so again, all we need, if we need more black, we'll just take more of the activator in the cup and then rub it onto the film, get more of that ink off of there, and then come back and start doing some touch-ups again. So we've got a spot right here. Touch that up there, there, there. All right, everything's starting to look pretty good. So the one thing that definitely stands out to me now is I've got this big open area right here. Now this is pretty much in the lighter area. So this is going to be in one of those areas where we need just a tiny bit of black to come back in to shade this in as dark as what it is around it. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to take an airbrush that's been very diluted, and what I mean by that is we've taken our inner coat clear and actually added it in, so then that way we have a bunch of clear base, and then we've added just a little bit of black to it, so that way whenever we go to spray this on there, it doesn't turn all black 100% very quickly. And so you want to have that, so then that way you can just lightly start shading that in, just ever so slightly, just a little bit more and a little bit more until you get to the right effect. So let's check this and make sure that everything is spraying out good, so we can see right here whenever I go to spray, as I'm spraying, it just barely is turning darker and darker. And of course, if I pull it back more, then of course I get more black in it, but I just want that little tiny bit. And so we're going to take this right here and just lightly go over just that little tiny bit until it gets more in the darker area. And so something like that. Now again, it's going to be very hard to probably see on camera, but I've just lightly darkened in just that little bit of area right in there. Now a lot of people are probably asking, can you use a airbrush to do the touch-ups that I just did, like we did on the paintbrush? And yes, it is possible, but with an airbrush you can see we have a halo around these areas right here, and with carbon we have exact lines that need to go like this in a zigzag pattern. And so if you're very fluent in the airbrush and you can get pinpoint accuracy, then yes, you can definitely do that. But it's going to be one of those things where even with the years that I've had in experience with the airbrush and things like that, I still prefer doing the touch-ups with a paintbrush, especially on carbon fiber, compared to doing them with an airbrush. Now, can they be done? Yes, they can, but I don't like to do them just because inevitably the airbrush, if you're spraying it, if you're off by just a little bit, that exact line will turn more into a haze, and then of course the customer sees that a lot more than what they would if it was just with a paintbrush, to where you can create that same zigzag line all the way through. So another spot that we've got is right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. So we've got another spot that's right there that's just a little bit lighter. All right, so now that we've shaded that in, now that looks a lot better. And so again, we're just gonna take that and just continue on down in shading, just a little bit here, a little bit there, and then that way that'll help touch up a lot of those areas like that. So let's go ahead, we're gonna finish right around in here. Of course, there's probably some spots way back here. We're not gonna worry about that too much. We're mainly just gonna touch up all right in here, and then that way that'll get all of this all touched up, if that was just one little spot that we needed to touch up instead of the whole thing. Of course, for something this small and this little, it would be very easy to just re-scup the part and then re-dip it, but for the video purposes, we went ahead, we're going to touch this up, clear coat it, and show you guys the end result with it. All right, so we've got everything all clear coated. Just to kind of show you guys the end result on this, inevitably, we did not go through and touch up every single little thing that was wrong with this. So inevitably, there may be a few dots here and there that we may have missed, but we definitely touched up a lot of the dots and they came out really good. So of course, you can see here, we've got our clear coat on everything, and everything looks really good all the way through. The touch-ups that we did right around in here, they are pretty much non-existent anymore. They all blended in with the pattern really well. Even the shading and all that we did, that was somewhere right around in there, you can pretty much not even notice it anymore. It all flows with the pattern really well. And so of course, if this was a customer's part, that would be a pretty much a ready to go piece. Now again, with something like this, you might see there might be a few specks here and there that we did miss, but inevitably it does go to show you that we did get everything that was touched up. It all came out really good. It blended with the pattern really well. And of course, the customer doesn't know it. And so hopefully this video has really helped you guys out. If you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips and tricks on anything hydrographics related. Also, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related, as well as let me know your thoughts on the touch-ups. Did we miss anything? Do y'all do anything differently? This is kind of what we've done in the past, and it's really worked really well for us. And so hopefully this has really helped you out on trying to be able to touch up the carbon fiber. Inevitably, you're going to get to one of those pieces where sometimes it's easier just to redo it. That's going to be something that you're going to have to figure out on your own on, is it able to be salvaged like this right here, or are we just needing to redo it? So I'm Bryan from... It never fails. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.